I always believed my college years would be about exploring new ideas and finding my path in life. But what I found was something beyond the ordinary, something that transcended the boundaries of reality as I knew it. My name is Alex, and this is the story of how I became entangled with a secret society and the ghosts of its past members. It began with a whisper, a rumor about an ultra-secret society on campus, known for its exclusive membership and mysterious activities. Initially, I dismissed it as just another college myth. But then, I started receiving messages. They appeared in strange places, written in the steam on my bathroom mirror, as shadows on my dorm room wall, in dreams that felt too real to be mere figments of my imagination. The messages were cryptic, urging me to join something greater, something beyond the physical realm. I was both intrigued and terrified. My curiosity led me to a hidden room in the oldest part of the university library, renamed 5 years ago to Johnson's Hall, after the late physics professor who had worked at the college for 34 years before he tragically passed. Most people loved how peaceful it was in Johnson's Hall. It was a place where time seemed to stand still. There I met them, the society members, but they were unlike anyone I'd ever seen. They were ethereal, almost translucent, with eyes that held the weight of centuries. They were the ghosts of past members, each bound to the society, even in death. They told me of their mission, to guard a secret so powerful it could alter the course of history. They needed someone living, someone to carry out tasks that they no longer could. I was their chosen one. My first task was to retrieve an ancient artifact hidden within the university grounds. The night I set out to find it, the air was thick with a sense of foreboding. Guided by the whispers of the ghostly members, I navigated secret passages and hidden chambers that I never knew existed beneath the campus. The artifact was not just a physical object, it was a key to a knowledge unknown to the living world. As I held it in my hands, I felt a surge of energy, a connection to something ancient and powerful. But with great power came great danger. I began to sense a presence following me, a malevolent force that wanted the artifact for its fiendish purposes. My life transformed into a delicate dance with the paranormal, each step a play between light and shadow. The tasks became more perilous, each one testing the limits of my courage and my sanity. I walked a tightrope between the living world and the realm of spirits, never sure which side I belonged to. As I delved deeper into the mysteries of society, I came to the realization that I was a part of something that went beyond time and death. I was a guardian of secrets that whispered of a world that was beyond our comprehension. It was a world where the past and the present were interwoven in a dance that was as old as time itself. During my college years, my focus shifted from textbooks and exams to exploring the mysteries of the universe. I was fascinated with understanding the thin veil that separates our world from the one that lies just beyond our sight. As I delved deeper into this realm, I realized that I was no longer just a student. I had become a keeper of the paranormal, a bridge between two worlds. I'd proudly spend the rest of my life intermingling the two.
Ever since Aunt Clara passed away, I've felt her absence like a void in my heart. She was more than just a relative to me. She was a confidant, a guiding star, and even a mother to me, since my relationship with my own biological mother had been strained since I was a teen. And Aunt Clara had lovingly stepped right in for me, like a hero. So imagine my shock when one evening I saw her face staring intently into mine in the window of the house across the street. Wow, but how? The new neighbors had moved in about a month ago. They were a reclusive lot, hardly ever seen outside. Their house, an old Victorian structure, had always given off an eerie vibe. But seeing Aunt Clara there was beyond comprehension. She looked just as I remembered her, but her eyes held a sadness that was almost haunting. I decided to investigate, driven by a mix of grief and an unshakable feeling that something was amiss. That night, as darkness enveloped our quiet street, I made my way across to the mysterious house. The front door was ajar, which struck me as odd. Crazy, muttered to myself nervously, Pushing it open, I stepped into a hallway dimly lit by flickering candles. The air was heavy with the scent of incense, and somewhere in the distance, I could hear the soft notes of a piano, a tune Aunt Clara used to play. Oh my God. I closed my eyes and froze for a loaded moment as I quietly drew in a long, shaky breath. As I ventured deeper into the house, the temperature dropped, and I felt a chill run down my spine. The walls were adorned with old family portraits, their eyes seeming to follow my every move. But it was the portrait at the end of the hallway that made my heart stop. It was Aunt Clara, looking as alive as ever. I heard a soft whisper behind me, gasping loudly. I turned around to find nobody there. The whisper turned into a murmur, a rush of voices that seemed to come from the very walls of the house. Panic set in, and I rushed to the nearest room, hoping to find an explanation, some clue to this madness. The room was a study, filled with antique furniture and books. In the center, there was a seance table, complete with a crystal ball and tarot cards. And there, in a chair by the fireplace, sat a figure, my Aunt Clara. But as I approached her, the figure distorted, revealing not my aunt, but a different woman, older and with a stern expression, her fiery eyes burning into mine. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered, her voice echoing around the room. I stumbled backwards, my mind racing. The woman began to tell her story of a time long past when she had lost her own sister and had turned to the occult to bring her back. But instead of her sister, she had opened a door to something else, something that had been haunting the house ever since. I realized then that what I saw wasn't my aunt, but a manifestation of my own grief, manipulated by the energies of the house. I didn't know exactly what was real anymore, but I knew one thing for sure. The real Aunt Clara was gone, and it was time for me to let her go. I left the house, the heavy door closing behind me with a definitive thud. As I walked back to my own home, I knew that some mysteries were better left unsolved. The house across the street remained a place of secrets, a reminder that sometimes, in our quest to hold on to the past, we might open doors better left closed.
As a criminal justice major, I'd always been fascinated by law enforcement. So when Sheriff Dawson, a family friend and the lawman of our small town, offered me a chance to shadow him for a night, I jumped at the opportunity. At the time, I had no idea that the events of that night would have such a profound impact on how I viewed the world. The evening began routinely, with Sheriff Dawson showing me the ins and outs of a typical night shift. The calmness of our small town was a stark contrast to the chaos I had expected. That was until we received a call from the station. A new detainee was causing trouble. We hurried back, unaware of the surreal ordeal that awaited us. The prisoner was a young man, seemingly unremarkable, but the air around him was charged with a palpable tension. As we approached his cell, I noticed objects around him vibrating, as if responding to an unseen energy. Dawson gave me a cautious look, his years of experience sensing that this was no ordinary situation. The young man's eyes met mine, and in them I saw a turmoil of emotions, fear, anger, and something else, something unexplainable. Without warning, the room erupted into chaos. Objects began to fly across the room with violent force, as if controlled by the prisoner's mind. It was telekinesis, something I had only read about in science fiction. Dawson acted quickly, ushering me out of the room and into the safety of his office. But even there we weren't safe. The whole station seemed to come alive, with doors slamming shut and furniture barricading them. It was like being in a maze, every turn leading to another deadly trap set by the telekinetic force of the prisoner. We needed to subdue him, but how do you fight an enemy who can control objects with his mind? Dawson, with his years of experience, devised a plan. Using the station's intercom, he began to speak to the prisoner, trying to calm him, to reach out to the human behind the supernatural force. Meanwhile, I used my knowledge from my criminal justice classes to navigate through the maze of traps, trying to find a way to reach the prisoner. It was a battle of wits and wills, a test of mental and physical endurance. Finally, after what seemed like hours, we reached him. He was exhausted, the effort of controlling his power taking its toll. Dawson's words had reached him, bringing forth the scared, confused young man behind the telekinetic outburst. We secured him, ensuring he was no longer a threat, but the night had left its mark on us. As we left the station at dawn, the town still asleep and unaware of the turmoil that had just unfolded, I realized that the world was far more mysterious and complex than I had ever imagined. That night, I learned more about law enforcement and life than any textbook could teach me. I saw the power of empathy and understanding, even in the face of the inexplicable. It was a night that showed me the unseen forces that can shape our reality, forces that sometimes lie dormant within us, waiting for the right moment to awaken.